Hi, I'm Lionel Sosa. You know, sometimes we think that our own stories are not important enough to be part of history. But in the case of the children of the Revolucion, they are part of history. They haven't been told, and I'm so glad my wife, Kathy, has prodded this project so that those stories can be told.
So a few years ago, I read an essay about the Mexican Revolution and about how it drove a complete population of people from one country to another, and how the borderland became repopulated and really completely different, even though we had nominally been Mexico for some decades before. The truth is that this giant population shift caused San Antonio to become a Latino city and a Latino culture in a way that we are all appreciating right now. That article made me start thinking about the stories that my husband has told me. Both of his grandmothers came to San Antonio during the Mexican Revolution to escape the chaos and the violence there. And both of them came alone with no husband, with several small children in tow. And I, began to look at the revolution in a new way and think about how many people made that trip, how many women made that trip, and landed in a new place, albeit a friendly one. This was a friendly place and a welcoming place, and prior to 1900, completely cosmopolitan, all kinds of nationalities and ethnicities here. But what that journey must have been like for those people. And not only that, but all of these miraculous stories of the descendants of the people who came here and how they have changed the destiny of this part of America, this borderland, this city here. And it occurred to me that those stories had not been told, except maybe around dining room tables or in back porches and places where families pass information down verbally from one generation to the next. They had been told, but they hadn't been told out loud publicly. They hadn't been told in books. They haven't been told on television, and they haven't been told in the schools. And so, children don't really understand that part of their heritage and how there's so much to be proud of, and where they've come from and what their families have accomplished, and how this part of the country is completely different for the better than it would have been.
Well, the simple answer to why the Munguia family came to San Antonio is the revolution. My grandfather was involved in the revolution. In those days, when there was no radio, there was no television, the printer was the propagandist.
And so it was 3 brothers and myself that came with Daddy. And Daddy was naturally, he was a newspaper reporter and also a printer. So he worked both things in Mexico.
And he had selected sides, a progressive, almost socialist vision of Mexico. But the sides changed. And we had that period when Obregón and Madero and Zapata and Villa and all of them were in charge at one moment or another. And if you got caught on the wrong side of whoever was in the ascendancy, well, chances are you would be eliminated.
And so one of my father's brothers came one day to Mama's, to their home, and he told her, Carolina, you better tell Rómulo to leave immediately because they're looking for his head.
The story is that my grandfather was at his print shop, and one of my uncles, his sons, was sent by my grandmother to tell him not to come home because the opposition forces would be waiting for him, and their intent was to execute him.
Yeah, because he was writing all the articles, against the government. And so Mama said, "Oh no," and she said, they asked her, "Where is he?" And she said, "I don't know." So by evening, they came and told Mom that he had already left for the United States, that he would be waiting for us in San Antonio.
So he left by a different route out of town and boarded a train and ended up in San Antonio with, legend has it, about 29 cents to his name. He sent for the family some months later, and we have at my mother's home the postcards that describe first his having arrived, where he writes in Spanish, "Llegué, busco trabajo, besos a los niños." I'm here looking for work, kisses to the children.
But Daddy sent Mama some postcards, and I have them at home, where one of them says, "I have job."
And then about a month later, he writes another postcard which says, "I am learned English." And it's a beautiful expression to me of a person who was a striver, trying to make his way, remembering his family, and always intent on bringing them with him.
Had that tumult not pushed them out of their homeland into a new homeland. So there's a wealth of stories to be told, a wealth of stories, and the people who have heard them firsthand are getting to an age where we really need to capture them. We really need to capture them before they go away, before they're just legend or hearsay, while there's still really history to be documented. We need to document it now.